And that was something that I think NoPing can do maybe a little bit better. Of course, they were running the Wisp in the previous game, but it felt like they didn't have a true support duo. Why, or rather, IO Disruptor doesn't really feel fantastic. Everything was sort of reliant on that Ravage, on that Matthew Tidehunter. So I think if Matthew can be on a playmaker, we know how fantastic a player he is if he is put in that position
Mhm.
where if he can just run around, do whatever he wants, maybe we see him pick up the Earth Spirit, maybe we see him put on a more comfort pick. Of course, he's very comfortable on the Wisp, but I just feel like there's something lacking in that duo. Again, Panda Boo Disruptor, that's another classic. That's another almost specialty that would feel, again, I think it would feel even better in this game because you do sort of need that catch for the Winter Wyvern. But I want to see more coming from that support duo because I feel like they were pretty sequestered, pretty reliant on their offlaner, and they were kind of just stuck making plays on their own side of the map. And I think that NoPing, they're done with that. They've got these run at you heroes. They've got a much better run at you lineup than their previous draft. I think they actually want to turn up the heat a little bit more.
Yeah, it just felt like you went all in for a sort of team fight combo with the Disruptor and the Tidehunter, and it just didn't really come together the way they needed it to. Wasn't really consistent enough. To be fair, there were still plenty of plays out from that Disruptor in terms of sort of the glimpse and the kinetic field sort of trapping somebody up, but that was not enough in and of itself. So NoPing are going to want to get a little bit more aggressive from that 4 and 5 position. We see the Mirana picked up there. That is a pretty damn good choice. A hero that's really been sort of shooting up the ranks in terms of popularity in recent times. A lot of teams sort of turning back to that Mirana as an option, and for the most part, for good reason. Obviously, you still have to hit that skill shot with the arrow, but if the Mirana can sort of make those plays, be that aggressive roaming hero, it opens up a lot for NoPing to work with.
And that's sort of the funny thing when you've been on a patch for this long, you see teams starting to rely on heroes that, again, we saw at the beginning of the patch. Everybody was playing Mirana. You saw it first to pretty much every single game. I don't think you ever saw it really banned, but you always saw it picked because, again, it sort of wins the off lane for you. You always get those range creeps. That's just a non-factor anymore in those lanes. And whether it's the Mirana, whether it's the Snapfire 4, these heroes are still in the game. It's just with the way that the meta turns out, teams start copying each other, the meta moves along, but these heroes are still really solid, really good, and especially versus the Winter Wyvern, Faceless Void. Again, you throw the arrow versus a Cold Embrace target, you throw it into the Chronosphere, they have to react to it. It's something that you can't ignore. And I think Hokori have gotten a little bit ahead of themselves. I saw that both the Luna and the TB were in the pool, but I didn't imagine this is how things were going to match up. Because now you have TB versus Luna. I think NoPing are going to be really, really happy with this. Because again, you've got Angel, one of the best core players in the region, on the best carry in the game, and there's no threat of an Axe. I don't think there's going to be a threat of an Axe on the Hokori side. You can't really pick Axe and Faceless Void in the same lineup. It'd feel really, really strange, but I think they need to go for something like that because again, this TB has a lot less issues than the Luna versus the Winter Wyvern because as soon as you get on top of that Wyvern with the meta, you just start chunking him. Of course, there is going to be pretty good curse targets. You've got a few good curse targets already on the NoPing side, but TB versus Luna, there's a reason why we don't see this matchup ever. There's a reason why we always see this hero banned because it's just that sort of deafening to deal with.
NoPing certainly drafting themselves into a solid position here, and they still have a little bit of that flexibility we talked about way back at the start of the draft. That Viper could still go one of two places. They could send Dark Mego on it into the middle lane. They could put Panda on it in that position 5 role. Hokori, though, don't really seem to be buying into the Viper as a mid laner. They ban out both the Ember and the Storm. And yeah, okay, seems like that was probably the right call to make. NoPing going to go in for the Tiny, but that is going to be a hero that can facilitate further aggression. The Tiny, the Mirana, even the Viper moving around with them. Maybe not the fastest hero in the world, but going to be able to make those contributions. So, ET, as you were mentioning earlier on, it looks like they've just got sort of a run-at-you lineup. The TB will be there on the backside of all of that, just sort of farming up and taking advantage of the space his teammates will create, or hopefully will be able to create for him.
And really, they ticked all of their boxes. I think in the previous game, mentioning that the Doom sort of had to be played like a Tiny because the Tiny just sort of slots into these lineups so easily, where now you don't have that many stuns coming from either your 5 or your 3, now that this Viper will most likely slot into Pandabu's hands. So now you get it in the Tiny in the mid lane instead, because mid, as the previous game, is going to be a farm fest, unless they decide to pick a hero here to try and sort of ruin the Tiny's game. They would pick like maybe Invoker if they wanted to go in that direction. Okay, that's not an Invoker, but that is a Bloodseeker. It is going to be the 5 Void. Okay, yeah. It's not bad.
Luna at the 1, Wyvern sent mid again, Vitaly on the off-lane Bloodseeker. So, well, if you're Hokori, I mean, the mid Wyvern worked out incredibly well for you in game 1. Why not just run it back? And, I don't know, it feels like this time around things might be a little bit more difficult for them based on the NoPing lineup. Seems like they're in a better position now to be a bit more aggressive, a lot less reliant on that sort of wombo combo teamfight play.
And I think even though they're not running the same Wisp lineup, it is a very different lineup from the previous game. They've more or less upgraded all of their heroes in every single position. I think they've really slotted these heroes in a much better way than they did the previous time, where they sort of had to use their items to make or be the difference maker, where they weren't able to really slot in something that felt too good. Whereas now Hokori, again, this is something that Hokori likes to do, actually. They like to play sort of these weirder, atypical heroes. Of course, you say that with a Luna in the game, how atypical could it be? But their lanes are definitely going to suffer, I think, just a little bit. It's not going to feel quite as strong as something else they could have maybe mustered. But this Faceless Void versus Timbersaw, again, something we see typically in China. It does so much damage. The time dilation, you get 2 points in it. You usually get 1 point in the queue. And you've got this Faceless Void running at you off cooldown. That's where Matthew is really going to have to play mechanically at a very high level. He's going to have to secure Oscar's lane as much as he can. But then I think NoPing, they are very robust. They've got really good heroes.
Weren't quite able to make it happen in game 1 on that NoPing side. They certainly came close, but as we were sort of mentioning earlier, there was some misplays on both sides. NoPing, though, were the ones to suffer a little bit more heavily, as they did drop that first game, but hoping to fight their way back into it. Going to have to here if they want to be able to claim that first spot. Of course, a loss here drops them down to the lower bracket finals. They'll have a second shot, I believe, 2 days from now, but if you're NoPing, you're not even thinking about that right now. That's sort of getting yourself into that excuse mentality. They are here right now to win this second game, and well, we'll see how aggressive they want to get early on. Hokori have grouped up pretty heavily in this south side jungle, so we could see a potential play across the river for them. Now, who would they really be able to get right now? We do see Oscar and Matthew sort of hanging out on their own side. Timbersaw normally pretty tanky, but, you know, before the horn, he's not going to be able to survive if he does get jumped in on, but we'll see what they can do. They're playing this one very slowly, getting some vision on Oscar in the river. Do they really commit for this? Oscar's actually feeling a little bit more confident, trying to push forward. He's got Panda in here to back him up with a couple of hits with that poison attack, but not going to be enough. The arrow will fly. Fortunately, threads the needle between about 4 different heroes, so no stun coming out there, but if you're NoPing, yeah, you got some bounties. You're going to be okay. Actually, Angel even snagging an extra one as he realized there's nobody on the entire western section of the map, so 3 bounty runes to NoPing. Didn't really get caught out by that big group buff from Hokori, and they start off the laning stage in a decent spot.
And really, I think the lane to watch is going to be this top lane. If Pandabu gets a little bit too forward, he's going to get punished. At the same time, if Vitaly isn't able to walk up to these waves, he's going to get really heavily punished by the poison attack, by the reflection spam, and the eventual meta that just sort of wins out your waves usually, because this is a very difficult lane for the Bloodseeker to walk up to. You're going to see him play around his range creeps. You're going to see him not necessarily show that much. And Pandabu, he doesn't have the Basilis that we usually see on a lot of these Pos 5 Vipers, but he's got the mangoes, he's got enough regen to keep the spam up, at least for the first few levels here. And there isn't that much regen on either of the Hokori heroes. They're going to need to ferry something out pretty soon here.
Yeah, coming to lane with really just the tangos. Although I believe Vitaly did just get another set delivered out to him, so that's going to work to his advantage as they try to push their way in. Not going to hit with the Blood Right, but it does push them forward. Panda's dropping low, but Vitaly even lower. He's going to get taken down first. Angel picks up first blood. Panda's not even going to die there. Elmisho only had level 1. The tag team wears off. He doesn't have any damage left to work with, and if he did go in for that that would almost assuredly be a suicidal play. So Hokori tried to get aggressive, but it really just sort of backfires on them. They needed that Blood Right to hit. Even at level 1, that could have been enough damage to really turn things around. Instead, it's a bit off the mark. NoPing able to sidestep it, and that gets them the first kill of the match.
And not just that, Dark Mago got a toss back onto Analog. He got him underneath the tower, and if he doesn't
Ooh,
play around these water runes, he's in dire straits. He's
look at the
lost all of
Tiny
his HP.
pushing over just to make sure he can potentially deny that as well. So Analog's just not going to find much purchase here. Could go all the way to the north. It looks
He's
like
gonna
that
miss
is...
all these creeps mid if he doesn't be too careful, though.
Okay. He at least grabbed 1 or 2, but Dark Mago, he's still going to make life difficult for him. The rune is going to be picked up, but at this point, I mean, he's taking a fair bit of damage. But now Amisho's rotating in. Dark Mago, you may have gone a bit too far. He still wants the kill, though. No spells available, however. He had already used pretty much everything at his disposal, so 1 or 2 more hits could have done it. But yeah, is he going? Yeah, he is. Okay, Amisho, he's going to man up. Dark Mago has to try and get around those shards, healing up as best as he can with the bottle. And it looks like he is going to be able to get away. Analog was sort of prowling around, hoping that the creep wave came in a little bit faster. Maybe the Splinter Blast could have done that extra bit of damage. As you see right there, he is going to clip him with it, but not able to get it in the timing they needed. But Amisho, the man is going to go right back in, and this time he will not be denied. Analog comes in for the Arctic Burn kill, and I guess Dark Mago just assuming that Amisho had sort of cleared out after the first failed attempt, but the perseverance pays off. Hokori able to tie it up at 1-1.
Yeah, and I think at that point, it's a little bit frustrating for the Tiny. Matthew wasn't able to make a very clean rotation. There wasn't a bottle refill. There wasn't anything sort of left in the tank for the Tiny. And now if you're Analog, you get this very nice reset. You get to buy an old Talisman. You actually got the last hit there, even though you have the tag team bonus damage.
Vitaly? He's
Yeah,
taking a
top.
hell of a lot of damage. He's just got no way out. Yep.
And that's the trade.
I mean, Panda, not the tankiest hero in the world, but he'll just sit there. He'll block off the path. The Bloodseeker could not push any further forward, and you know this early in the game. Sure, the Bloodseeker's going to hurt a bit, but he will not have the damage to actually kill you off before Angel can come in and sort of seal the deal there. So Viper playing with some confidence. Second kill on the board for NoPing. Unfortunately, I don't think Angel got the credit for that one. I think Panda was the one. Yeah, he was the one to get the last hit, but either way, this top lane going exceptionally well. 2 kills for them, 25 and 16 in terms of the last hits and denies for your TB, so he's not under even the slightest bit of pressure right now through the first 4 or 5 minutes.
And again, that's the trade that you have to make, or rather that you decided to make, where Mishu spent so much time in the mid lane. While you do get that sort of going the way of Analog, you really save his game. You completely sort of ruin Vitaly's lane, where he's out of regen, he's got this urn finally, and I think maybe they got to play into Pandaboo? No, they're going to whiff on that too. It just feels like, aside from this small, or rather this large camp pool, there isn't much going in the way of this Bloodseeker. And again, it's just free farm for Angel, very similar to the first game.
Yeah, and this is especially sort of concerning when you take into account the fact that Vitaly is on this Bloodseeker. Well, I don't know. We see it in that position 3 role often enough, but it's at times wildly inconsistent. If your Bloodseeker in that position 3 role isn't sort of making those moves early and actually finding some of those kills, then it just feels like he does very little in the next maybe 10 to 15 minutes. So that is going to be something Hokori will have to worry about. Vitaly in a lot of instances is looked at as sort of their primary initiator, and that just straight up may not be the case if he's not able to make something happen. Maybe not even in the top lane, just rotate elsewhere on the map once he hits level 6, but we are still a couple of minutes away from that at the very least.
And Angel is just bodying him. 41 and 20. There's just nothing he can do. Because they sort of lost their plays, Mishu has completely put his focus on other places on the map because he knows unless they're just killing Pandaboo off cooldown, there is no way to get farm in the top lane. Again, Vitaly is just going to be sort of sequestered. Angel's just going to sit here and actively deny, and there is nothing that he can do. Vitaly is just going to keep on just getting the scraps of this lane. Meanwhile, Angel is just taking absolutely everything.
Just feels kind of sad watching the Bloodseeker just throw out the occasional blood right for 1 or 2 last hits, and really that's all he can afford right now. But the question now for Hokori is, what are we going to see from this support duo? Gartic and Amisho have the potential to make some moves here, whether it's to the mid lane or maybe an attempt onto Angel up top, but they're going to need to get aggressive relatively soon. We do see them maneuvering their way bot. Matthew, though, he's got leap charges. He's going to be just fine. Amisho hitting him up for a little bit of damage, but Actually, Matthew doesn't even need the leap, just holds his ground, and it's actually going to be the Tusk who walks away, but he's rotating mid. They're going to look for this play onto the Tiny. They were able to get this kill once before. Took him a couple of attempts at it, but they did manage to find it. But at this point, Dark Mago's quite a bit tankier than he was the last time around, and Amisho gets distracted, runs into Matthew again. This time the leap charge does come through, and that Mirana is able to just walk away. So you're buying time, you're creating space here if you're the Mirana. You're not exactly going for any sort of aggressive play, but if Amisho is chasing you around the jungle, he's not threatening anyone else on the map.
And this is where sort of the misplays top are really going to cause a problem for the Hokori side, at least for their early game plan, because now that you have the grow on the Tiny is no longer a target. You're going to need mass heroes to end up killing him. You're going to need a rotation, most likely from your safe laner, if you do actually want to get a decent play onto Dark Mago, but he's just immediately rushing the Blink Dagger, and he's committing so little to survive. He doesn't have a wand, he doesn't have the raindrops, but very similar to the previous game, he's laning versus a Winter Wyvern. He doesn't need to care. He's just going to drag into whatever camp he wants. He's even just dragging the creeps over towards El Micho because he wants to be in a position to sort of help his teammates out. He's actually just dragging it to the large camp, I think. It's just who's more efficient. And right now, with the way top lane has gone, you just gave Panabu the lane now. You have a level 5 Viper able to play on the map while your TV is still farming.
They want in.
Uncontested.
They hit up Analog there with the Avalanche, but this isn't going the way they want. Dark Mago is just getting absolutely blown up. There's going to be the Winter's Curse thrown down. Doesn't actually clip any other heroes, but it kept Dark Mago in position. The problem is no follow-up damage. Analog is taken down. Gardic is now on the run. He's going to try to time walk himself away. Dark Mago, though, will just continue the chase. Meanwhile, further to the south, Oscar...
He's in front of him.
Oh, they caught out Amisho, and yeah, Dark Mago gets in front, bottles up the haste rune, throws the Avalanche out to finish off Gardic, and I don't know about that one for Hokori. Initially, it looked like maybe they had a play there going in onto Dark Mago, but at a certain point, the damage just hits a wall, and they didn't have enough to get over that last little bit. The Winter's Curse that was designed to try and keep the Tiny locked in place to finish him, instead, actually sort of shattered Hokori's own momentum, and now, Vitaly? This is not a place you want to be. He is going to get hit up. Dark Mago hits him with the toss into the Avalanche. Yeah, Vitaly didn't quite back away in time. Didn't really back away at all there, as he was jumped in on. But to a certain extent, I'm not sure he could have expected that play. There was just a fight in the sort of south side river as Dark Mago... Jesus, okay. Bit of a drive-by play there. Thought he was actually going to go all the way in for it, but he was running out of time on that haste rune, so he decides... Let's not get too greedy. That's 2 core heroes against me alone running out of speed. So he will back himself away, but just sort of comes in, reminds Hokori that he's in the area, and they do have to pay attention to this Tiny so significantly now. That Blink Dagger is on its way on the courier, and the Tiny's just going to get more and more aggressive now.
Angel farms a 4-stack of Ancients, has his Dragonlance finished up. He got the Chip Fest, so he's just going to be farming at an unprecedented pace. And really, it's just the top lane. The repercussions are felt literally everywhere. You have this incredibly high-level Viper that's just able to TP and supply so much damage for a lineup that at this stage of the game should really only be coming from the Tiny. But now Tiny has a Blink Dagger. During all this time, Oscar was able to just farm bottom uncontested, and that's why you see now... Oh, Analog.
Avalanche toss into the arrow, locking down. Good snowball, though, from the Tusk, buying some time. Can Analog still get himself away, though? The Winter's Curse is going to be deployed.
Not blinking free.
Dark Mago, blink up. He's going to go for it, looking for the kill. Analog is not going to get away unless somebody helps him. Instead, it looks like he's just going to try and go for the deny, but Dark Mago hits him with the Avalanche. They will be able to find that kill. Matthew, sacrificing himself elsewhere on the map, but I think you're going to be okay with that, taking the Wyvern down. Dark Mago, though, has to get away. He popped the Illusion Rune, and unfortunately for El Micho, his snowball actually targeted the illusion rather than the hero himself, so NoPing are going to be able to get away with the 1-for-1, and Analog, I mean, we're just not seeing a whole lot from him in this match. He has not really been able to find his footing so far.
And you just look at all 3 lanes. You're playing in all three lanes right now, if you're NoPing. There's really nothing stopping you. You don't have the play onto Angel. You're not able to make a play towards that Terrorblade. Oscar, he has that Siege Creep. He has that Hood. This is really the Timbersaw timing, and he's going to put as much pressure on the map as possible. As soon as this bottom wave is all the way pushed in, he's going to head towards mid, and what can you do? You have Winter's Curse in 25 seconds, but there's no lane for Analog to gank. There's no opportunities at all for his teammates to create.
Oh boy.
There's the Timber.
Yep, Oscar's in. They want the fight. Analog has no one to help him out. Still no ult. Analog
Avatos.
dead. Gardic gone as well. NoPing, this is just feeling clinical from them. 10 kills in 11.5 minutes. 7k net worth lead. I mean, they're running away with it. We've just barely left the laning stage, and it just feels like there is an absolute mountain that Hokori have to climb, and that's not going to make it any easier. Elmisho going to get hit up. Not dead just yet, though. Snowball comes through. TR's jumping in with the Eclipse. They might actually be able to turn this around. Elmisho will fall, but they haven't killed anyone, and they won't kill anyone. Oscar's just going to walk away, waits out the Rupture, and then Timber Chains out, and that's just horrible for Hokori. And now Tiara's, he's alone. Gardic is going to try to come in. Where's that Chrono? He will be able to throw it down onto 2, trying to isolate Oscar. Maybe not the best of targets, as, yeah, he doesn't have the physical damage to get through it. Oscar lives. Tiaras goes down. They were at least able to finish off Panda, but they need more than that. Vitali's trying to make it happen. He's going to go in with the Blood Right, but Oscar, Timber chaining himself away. Vitali, though, is a race car trying to get in onto anyone he can, but he can't actually catch up in time. The Blink is going to get Dark Mego away, and now Angel's actually slowly but surely rotated his way over. He wanted the tower, but now, and not only can he get the tower, he could be here if Hokori tried to reinitiate. So at this stage, Hokori just have to back off, and I mean, they got a support kill there. They took down Panda, but now there's more problems. Dark Mego in again. Analog dead. Elmisho didn't actually catch his own teammate with that snowball, so saves himself, but the Wyvern gets taken down. Oscar, though, may be falling. He's going to try to Timber Chain himself out, avoiding the Blood Right as well, but the Lucent Beam locks him down. Vitali on the chase, but Dark Mego wants back in. Blink Tag is ready. He's manned it up a little bit more. Ooh, bit of a lag spike there, but where can he go? Nowhere. Blinks a little bit to the left, but he would have needed to go all the way up onto the high ground to really make that fight happen. But at this point, NoPing, I mean, where's the mistake? Where's the misplace? They're just not making any. Even when Panda dies there, he dies to secure 2 or 3 kills. And speaking of kills, Vitali caught out mid. They are just not showing enough respect to the initiation range from that Tiny. They keep on getting sort of caught in that position, and the Tiny's going to make that play every single time it's presented to him. As Gardic going to get jumped in on. There it is again. Avatos. Oh my god, I can't even speak for 15 seconds without a kill coming out here as NoPing just keep on pushing forward.
And really, just every single member of the NoPing lineup, I suppose, aside from the Terrorboy, just enables Dark Mego. He has so much damage to top off all of these kills. And Elmisho, he's finally able to get his level 6, but you had to give the Omen again.
Are you kidding me, Matthew?
The game sense. It's just, they saw him walk in and they immediately punish him. This is, right now, drawing on the minimap, that is where Hokori can play. It's 14 minutes into the game and they are sequestered behind their tier 2 towers. If they're not able to make a play with the next Eclipse, I honestly think you could see a GG coming out here. They're just running out of options so fast.
Yeah. So there's always that sort of never give up, never give in kind of attitude, but when you're this far back, this early on, it's just absolutely brutal. But they are trying to get in onto Panda. They hit up Oscar here with that Rupture as well, so the Timber can't really do too much in the way of movement, and now there's going to be the Eclipse looking for the damage. But yeah, Tiaras is already dead. Elmisho down as well. Analog's going to try to TP away, and he does make it home, so at least one hero will be surviving, but now Gardic is on the run. He's going to try to get himself out. He's got the Time Walk. Does have the Chrono as well, but he's not even going to have the time to throw that one out there. Angel comes in for the triple kill, and once again, Panda's really the only casualty here. He is really just not going to care about that. That's now back-to-back instances he dies for his team to pick up 3 or 4 kills, and there was the Eclipse play. As you said, ET, they don't really get much out of it, so how much do they really have left to work with? They didn't get off the Chrono in that fight, so maybe they give it one more attempt with that ultimate sort of online and actually placed on the field, but it just doesn't feel like it's going to be enough to really swing enough momentum.
Well, and the sad thing about this game is you see pretty much 0 adjustment coming in from these items either. Dying on a ward again.
Gardic taken down, so no Chrono. Dark Mego, though, as you said, yeah, dropping below himself. Can they keep him alive? He's going to try to TP home. Did he really? He did. He got back home. He is going to be safe and sound. Hokori now falling apart. Analog just has to run. Tiaras, he's not even on the right side of the map. He's pushing out the bottom lane, so he was in no position to help out his teammates, which sort of begs the question, what exactly were they doing grouped up around that tier 2 tower anyway? We've seen multiple times now. Anybody who sort of tries to hide out in that area is spotted by NoPing. So you would think they'd learn their lesson, but now, yeah, Tiaras is not going to make it out here. Dark Mego's in with the Avalanche into the toss. My god, 23 kills in 16 minutes and they might not be done. Elmisho's now getting caught out in the south side jungle as well. Oscar, a little off the mark there with the Timber Chain, but he's going to at least stay in visual range. So keep an eyes on the Tuscan out. Here comes the Tiny. Dark Mego calling his own number once again. Picks up the kill. Gardic, run. Just run. Don't think about it. Don't turn around. They're behind you. You know they're behind you. Just run. He is going to be able to get
And
himself away as Panda
oh
can't quite
no.
track him down. Although with reinforcements coming, this is where things get a little bit dicey. Arrow to fly, not going to connect, but they do see Gardic, but they want the kill onto Analog instead, catching out the Wyvern, and there's just nothing you can do. That Winter's Curse is the most optimistic thing I think I've seen from him in this game. He was hoping for any sort of miraculous play, but it's just not going to go down that way. Analog will fall, and now Gardic is getting hit up here as well. The toss into the Avalanche, and that Rupture is going to keep Dark Mago technically out of the fight for a few moments, as his teammates will try to hold the line. Matthew gets taken down, but Oscar is just too tanky on that front line with the barrier from that Hood of Defiance. They're not really going to be able to bring him down, and ET at this point, I don't know. I don't know what else they could possibly do here. Dark Mago does not care about anything that Hokori can throw out against him, and now Tiara's, he's getting pushed back as well, as Angel will join the fight. Look at that Luna just getting chunked down, might not even make it back, but it looks like Oscar and Angel will give up on that chase after all, but now they're in a position to continue pushing this one out. They need to get that tier 2 tower mid first, so the high ground push was maybe a little bit premature. As Gardic, okay, nice chrono, but where's the follow-up damage? Analog not going to be able to get it off because Dark Mago's in onto him, gets him with the Avalanche toss. That's going to be the Wyvern taken out of the fight, and now it's all just really just going to fall apart. Tiaras gets taken down, Gardic falls as well. Omisho a little bit late in there with the snowball. He'll punch Oscar to the moon to get the kill, but he's going to be dying just a few moments later. So at this point, this really just epitomizes this game. Hokori have to go all in with literally every single ability they have. They get one kill and then lose everything.
And now you have a Scotty on Angel. It's 6-31, 18 minutes into the game. It's just that type of game. And yeah, GG called. Gardic is done. And really, I don't know. There was just no adjustment. He went Boots of Travel on Analog. I think they just sort of decided to lie in their own bed. I think the rotations from NoPing were just a little bit too good. And they went top so hard. I'm really surprised they ended up going for this Bloodseeker. Of course, Bloodseeker is one of the better heroes versus both the Timbersaw and the Tiny, where you're just able to put the Rupture down, completely stop their game plan. That's sort of your good answer. But you lost the lane so hard, you weren't able to do anything. And then as soon as Omisho comes mid to sort of save Analog's game, I think it just sort of everything falls apart in that top lane, because now you have a level 5 Viper running around, showing up to these team fights, throwing down the goose, where Dark Mago suddenly his 800 damage combo turns into a 1200 damage combo, and nobody's surviving that on the Hokori side. I think NoPing were just clean, calculated, they encapsulated, they got to play in every single lane. They got to play in 3 lanes while Angel had 2 illusions farming the jungle. It felt like Hokori really had 0 plays, and they weren't even actively trying to make the plays. I think their lineup was a little bit too clowny. I think they just got to go back to basics here, because that's exactly what NoPing did. They went back to basics. They drafted a lineup they knew was successful against Hokori. I think this is picture perfect lineup. I think this is the lineup they drafted in SADPC. So Hokori definitely knew what was coming. I just don't think they were ready for the level of play NoPing really brought to them this time around.
Yeah, just felt teams going in opposite directions, as you were sort of saying. NoPing goes back to what they know is going to sort of work out for them, while Hokori experiment is maybe the phrase to use here, which up 1-0 in a best of 3, that's probably the time where you're going to feel the safest trying to throw something out there like what we saw here. But as you said, a little bit too clowny. Position 5 faces Void, position 3 Bloodseeker. Maybe they work by themselves if that's the only sort of risk you're taking in the draft, but to put them together, it just felt like they were expecting a little bit too much. As you said, that top lane really just falls apart for them, and the sort of avalanche of issues that come afterwards, just really too much for them to handle. So NoPing get it done. They get themselves a clean and relatively quick victory here in Game 2. So we are finally going to be seeing a Game 3. Hadn't seen any of those so far in this event. Everything had been a clean 2-0 sweep prior. So it all comes down to one last match. The winner of Game 3 will be locking down their spot. Locking down their spot, advancing out of this closed qualifier into the main event itself. So we are going to be taking a bit of a short break here, but we will be back for that third and final match in just a little bit. So stick around. We'll have Game 3 of Hokori and NoPing coming your way very soon.